Will Angel Batista die in Dexter Resurrection? Now I know that sounds completely ridiculous because Batista is one of the most beloved characters in all of Dexter. But with the way that the Dexter universe works, with signs in the past and the signs that we're already seeing in this show currently, this theory might not be so far off. So let's take a look at the evidence. So let's go back a little and talk about how two major characters who got close to exposing Dexter Morgan as the Bay Harbor Butcher or just a serial killer in general, James Dokes and Maria LaGuerta. Both of them were very smart and followed their gut instincts, and both of them died when they got too close to figuring out who Dexter really was. Now Dokes was the first one to really suspect something about Dexter in season 1. He didn't have proof, but he knew that Dexter was hiding something, but he couldn't prove what it was. Hence why, he never, and I mean like ever, treated Dexter with respect. He was always giving him a mean face or calling him a creep.
You give me a fucking creep, you know that, Dexter?
And the more that Dokes pushed, the more weird he could see in Dexter. And once he found the blood slides, that was it. He had his evidence, but instead of being able to tell the entire world, he ended up dead. And yes, it wasn't Dexter who physically killed Dokes, it was Lila West who killed him. Like, he wouldn't have been framed if he hadn't died. Actually, he still would have been framed, but Dexter originally planned for him to stay alive and to take the fall, not die. That was just because, Dexter liked him and didn't want to kill him, so inevitably he had to settle for both. Then we have Maria LaGuerta, and she was the one who picked up where Dokes left off. In season 7, years after James's death, Maria started noticing the same strange things about Dexter that Dokes did. And what really kicked it all off was when she found a blood slide at the end of season 6, the one that Dexter accidentally left behind after he killed Travis Marshall. And that was a huge mistake on his part, and it gave her a real reason to start digging. Now I know that Dexter didn't actually mean to leave that blood slide behind, it just got kind of lost accidentally, and he didn't realize it till it was too late. So when Maria saw that blood slide, she was like, no way it could be James Dokes, and she wasn't willing to let it go at all. And part of that reason was guilt, because back when Dokes was alive, she told him to his face that he was wrong about Dexter. So when she found that blood slide, she started thinking maybe Dokes was right all along. So she felt like she owed it to him to set the record straight, to go after Dexter and finally put an end to the Bay Harbor Butcher case. But here's the crazy part. When she started going after Dexter, everyone told her to stop. They said she was going too far, or that she didn't have enough evidence. And from a logical point of view, that's kind of suspicious, right? First it was Dokes who suspected Dexter, then it was LaGuerta, and they both ended up dead. Like, wouldn't that start to seem fishy to anyone else at Miami Metro? Why did no one notice that? Like, you think that someone would start connecting the dots. Instead, they just rushed it off, which looking back, made it easier for Dexter to keep hiding in plain sight. And she even went after Deborah, trying to prove that she was covering for Dexter. And that ended up with both her and Dexter's last bit of morality, completely breaking apart. Deb pulled the trigger, but it was Dexter who put her in that position. And now we have Angel Batista. And here's where things start to feel similar all over again. Now you might be probably wondering, there's no way they kill Angel Batista in this season. It would make no sense, and it would leave fans really mad. Either Dexter gets arrested or dies, or Batista either gets framed or dies. And honestly, if this show wants to have more seasons, I'm not gonna lie, they're keeping Dexter alive and out of jail. So let's actually get into Dexter Resurrection right now. And Batista is clearly starting to dig into Dexter's past, and he's really going full detective mode. And think about it, history repeats itself as well, because the reason why Maria investigated Dexter because she felt guilty, and same with Batista. And he even says himself that he owes it to his ex-wife.
My ex-wife had this theory, one that's haunted me for years, that your dad was the infamous serial killer, the Bay Harbor Butcher.
So at the end of Dexter New Blood, Angel Batista gets a call from Angela Bishop, and she tells him that Dexter is alive. And not only that, she said that Dexter was actually the Bay Harbor Butcher. And that moment is huge, and it literally changes everything Batista thought he knew. So fast forward 10 weeks later, in Dexter Resurrection, somehow Dexter is alive again, even though we watched Harrison shoot him in the heart. But here's the thing, Batista never knew Harrison pulled the trigger. As far as he's concerned, it was Angela who actually pulled the trigger. So it gets Batista even thinking more, because why would Angela shoot Dexter? That would make no sense. So that even gives him more of a reason to know Dexter is 100% fishy. And now that he's back, Batista still believes that Angela told him that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher. So when Batista finally comes to see Dexter in the hospital, things take a strange turn. Angela, for some reasons that we can, possibly guessed, probably, to protect Harrison and let him live a normal life, has retracted her statement, which also makes Batista even really more confused because she's no longer claiming that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher for some odd reason, and she plays it off, maybe saying it was a mistake or there wasn't just enough evidence. So Batista shows up to see Dexter in the hospital, and he has a lot of questions. He's not just visiting, he's practically interrogating Dexter, but he's playing it cool at first by saying that he's glad to see him, and then after that, he's asking some damning questions. And Dexter, he sees the writing on the wall. Realizing that Batista isn't going to let this go, he finds a moment of distraction and escapes the hospital. And just like that, he vanishes again right from under Batista's nose. If you've seen episode 3, then you know he meets with Masuka and Quinn, and that's also a pretty big deal for this theory that I have. It means he might be ready to loop them into whatever he's starting to suspect. The same way LaGuerta had tried to bring in outside help because she couldn't do it alone. But in the scene, he obviously doesn't tell them right away. He tells Masuka and Quinn that they'll know when the time comes, hinting that we'll potentially see Masuka and Quinn going after Dexter in maybe the later episodes or maybe a cliffhanger for the other seasons. Now imagine this. Angel finds a piece of evidence. Maybe he finds something connected to Harrison, or maybe even a body that matches Dexter's old MO. And he did in episode 4. He didn't actually see the body, he just got word from someone else. So when the time comes, he would take it to Masuka and Quinn. At first, they would be unsure. They all knew who Dexter was. He was just this nice, awkward guy. They thought he was a little weird, but not dangerous. But the more Angel shows them, the more it starts to make sense. And maybe Masuka remembers something from the lab, or Quinn remembers how shady Dexter acted back in the day. And honestly, I think Quinn already knows that he's the Butcher, but never really wanted to say anything. But if the three of them start working together, that puts Dexter in some serious danger, and he can't hide forever. And once Angel starts building a real case, either run again or take action to protect his secret. And in episode 4, we actually now see that Batista is working with the detectives in NYPD. Later in the season, maybe episode 8 or 9, Angel finally gets the proof that he needs, and in some confrontational-esque way, he would find Dexter and then confront him before he goes public, just so he can get some closure and look Dexter in the eyes and tell him that he knows. And that is the exact moment that Dexter knows that he can't keep Angel alive. And in the end, if the pattern does hold, Angel does not survive this season at all. But here's the twist. If Angel already shared everything with Masuka and Quinn, because as he said in episode 3, he'll tell them when the time comes. And even when he dies, the case will still live on. And that would set up a finale where Dexter is finally cornered, not just by the police, but by his old friends. And that would be a powerful ending. Seeing all 3 of them, or maybe all 4 of them in one scene alone, that would be insane. Full circle moment where the people who cared about him were the ones trying to bring him down. But since they may want to renew Dexter Resurrection for more seasons, I don't really see them capturing Dexter whatsoever. It just wouldn't make any sense. Unless they maybe pass down the torch to Harrison and then center the show around him. And that could work because honestly, if you really think about it, Harrison's character is becoming more likable every single episode. And I know a lot of people in New Blood didn't like his character at all. They thought he was really annoying. But in Resurrection, views are shifting, and maybe, just maybe, we might center around him. But then again, there is no Dexter show without Michael C. Hall. But with all that being said, my theory still remains. I do not think Angel Batista lives, and I think in season 2 we'll see all the others on the hunt for him as well. So thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments what you think about this theory. Is he going to survive, or is he going to live on for more seasons? Or is this case that Angel is building going to build into other seasons and not just this one season?